Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We have special guests with an absolutely amazing story. The encounter with Saint Carlo Acutis' mother while in Rome during the canonization weekend. He has been on the channel before. We met in person in Derry at the Great Historic Eucharistic Procession in February, and he's back again to fill us in on his amazing experiences in Rome and all other good things that I'm looking forward to hear about. It is, of course, Alvaro from Uniquely Mary. Great to have you back, Alvaro. Thank you for taking the time coming on. I'm really looking forward to this, so thanks for coming. I know you're busy doing your own thing at Uniquely Mary, your own channel, and yeah, I can't wait to hear all about it. So, how are you, first of all?
I'm doing really well. I'm super blessed. It's been kind of a bittersweet week here in the U.S. We had that amazing the canonization was such an incredibly blessed week, and I think everyone there felt that. And then the last week has been, if you're watching the news, you see all the things going on. So it kind of leaving all of us bittersweet. But I'm trying to keep that sweet part growing because to me, I think I wanted it to be sort of like the month of Saint Carlo Acutis and Saint Pierre Giorgio, that we kind of reap all the graces that came after that. So I'm hoping that people can kind of focus back on that, while honoring as Charlie Kirk and these different people that have lost their lives.
Yeah, it's been a sad week, of course, but where sin abounds, grace abounds all the more. And we're even
Yeah.
seeing that through the results, even from Charlie Kirk's point with his movement, his business, his family, the amount of things that have just grew exponentially since his tragic death. But that's that. I loved what his wife said. You know how this grieving widow's cries is a whatever it was, this is a battle cry. I found out of all her speech that was the most powerful thing where I went, whoa, this widow's grief is a battle cry, something like that. Um, but yeah, I've got a lot. I know we're focusing on Saint Carlo Acutis as well, but it's definitely worthy to mention there all that's happened with Charlie Kirk, and I've been praying for his family. I've been praying for all his loved ones, and I've been hooked on many videos popping up constantly, sharing many is almost like a
Hmm.
tribute as well. Uh, but I was actually a little bit more ignorant of Carlo Acutis until recently with an interview with Christine Watkins. I know you interviewed her as well past couple of weeks. And
Hmm.
I heard about his website, the Eucharistic miracles he did. He was quite into the computer and the programming, etc. I know he died young. I know his body's um, lying in Assisi. But other than that, I didn't know a great deal. But he did have a great mystical life. He had a mystical heart, and even some prophecies that may have came from him, including knowing how he would die and things. But
Hmm.
I don't know if you've learned more just from reading into it or researching it. What can you tell us about that and your journey and why you decided to go all the way from America to Rome just for the canonization?
Yes. So I remember when I first learned about him, and I was telling my wife this. s- You'll always see new things come up in the church, both saints and movements, and sometimes I'll tend to want to just stay with the things that I know because I don't want to just jump on a bandwagon because he's the latest saint. So when I first kind of heard that he was becoming more popular, I kind of thought, well, I don't want to just abandon the saints that I'm friends with and go with whoever's kind of the latest fashion. So I kind of sort of ignored him for a little bit. One of my daughters would talk about him, and she would just say Carlo Acutis, and I thought, who is this guy? And so I sort of knew about him a little bit, and then this past summer when we went to Ireland, we were there in July. What happened was, towards the beginning, while we were there, we were staying in Derry. One of his relics came to the Drummond Hotel near Derry. I think my friend Sabrina told me that it was going to be there, and we went, and that's kind of how the experience began. I got there a little bit late, and it was a first class relic. One of his family members were there, and everyone had a holy card that they attached presumably to the relic. And so I asked the owner of the hotel. I didn't get one. I got here late. Can I have one? So she gave me like over 200. And so when everyone had finished doing that and they were doing something else, the relic was by itself. And so I took like about 10 minutes to touch to all the different cards, which I eventually ended up mailing out to a whole lot of people because told the story in a video and people wrote me and said, "Can I have one?" So I mailed that out. Um, and we kept one of them. And then he kind of stayed with us the whole trip. The car that we were driving, I put him like right in front of the steering wheel. So it's like he was guiding our entire pilgrimage the rest of the time. So that was one of the things. So in that trip, there was all these little things that happened, just small things. And we would ask him for help with this, help with that. And we would see his intercession come through a lot. And then the other thing that happened was that when the relic was there, this woman by the name of Gwen, who lives in Assisi, she had seen some of my videos and she wanted to meet me. So I met her. We exchanged numbers, and it turns out that she works in Assisi with a priest whose name is Father Antonio. And whenever an English speaking country asks for the relic of Saint Carlo to come to their country to either keep or to visit, he's the one that takes it there.
Mm.
So she's a personal assistant to the priest who's in charge of the relics of Carlo Acutis for all of the English speaking world. So she has this incredible kind of closeness. She's probably I haven't asked her, but she's probably met his mother several times. If it has to do with Carlo, she's connected with it. She's written a few books, and so then we met, and I forget when they announced, but sometime after that, after we got back from Ireland, they announced that they were going to be canonized together,
Mhm.
Pier Giorgio and Carlo Acutis. And the feast day or the day was September 7th, which is the day before my wife's and I's anniversary. So as soon as I heard that, especially after having these little encounters in Italy with Carlo Acutis, these little prayers that he would answer, I told her we have to go because I thought, okay, this is going to be incredible. These two saints, they're saints of the youth. So I looked up the flights, and the flights weren't very expensive, so we bought tickets almost immediately. And we arrived the day before, and we left on the 9th. And so we got everything arranged. We got my daughters and our kids taken care of. They stayed with family, so it was just my wife and I. And then as we were as we were getting closer to the dates, I just kind of probably a lot of people were wanting this, but I kept asking Carlo, please, can I meet your mother? That would be amazing. I would love. I don't know why I kept thinking about that. And it seemed like a silly thing to ask. You know, it's kind of like thinking, "Oh, let me meet the Pope." Like everyone wants to meet the Pope, but no, you know, few people are actually going to get that. So then as we got closer, I started getting in touch with Gwen and saying, "Hey Gwen, we're going to be there. Can we meet up while we're there for the canonization?" And she said yes. We arranged also to on the Monday after to go to Assisi together. She needed to go for a wedding, and we wanted to go to Assisi to see his body, so we rented a car and we said, "Why don't we drive you? That way we can get to know each other more, and you can show us around." And then like 2 weeks before the canonization, I jokingly asked her, "Could you get us backstage passes to the mass?" Now, there were no tickets for the mass. It was just like an open event.
Mhm.
Uh, s- a lot of times for these events, you have to go to the Vatican website and get tickets.
Yeah.
Well, she said, let me see what I can do." And then a few days later, she messaged me. She said, "Alvaro, I have a surprise for you. I got you backstage passes." And I was just joking when I asked her that, but what happened was there was a group from Assisi that had a reserved section, and to get into that section, you needed to have tickets and a pass.
Mhm.
And so what happened was, so she said, "Okay, you have this. Now what you have to do is on the day of the mass, you have to arrive to this certain gate in Vatican City by 6:30 a.m. because we're going to go in with these passes, and once you get in, you're going to get backstage pass access to this specific section where we were sitting." Well, the day of the mass, I woke up like at 3 in the morning because I was so excited. So what happened is, when we were staying north of the Vatican, the gate was at the southern entrance. When when you look at the Vatican on a map, and when you plotted out walking from our hotel to the gate, it was 30 minutes. Now, when we got up and we got ready, we went to go have some coffee and we were walking towards the Vatican. Um, we saw massive mobs and crowds of people wanting to get in. And then when you looked on the map, everything was blocked off. So what would have taken 30 minutes was now going to take like an hour and a half for us to get to that gate. And we were messaging her and she said, "You have to get here by 6:30 because once we go in, I cannot leave your name there. You basically lose your position and you have to go in with everyone else." And there was, I mean, it felt like there was millions of people there. So as we were walking towards like the northern entrance, where like the when you look at St. Peter's, there's like the two kind of arms that are like colonnades that you have to go in. That was like one of the first entrance on the north. There was people that looked like they had been there for several hours. There was probably like 4 to 5 thousand people in line, and there's no way we're gonna get in there. I thought, okay, this is craziness. We can't go there, so we had to go around them. We went to another entrance, and that entrance was also blocked. But we had to talk to. We asked the police officers, "Can we get in? We have to get to this gate," and they said, "Try here, go there." We kept trying, and we thought, okay, we can't get in here, so we kept being blocked in our entrances. And like around that time, I thought, okay, we're going to lose this opportunity. We have this golden ticket, but we can't get in. What are we going to do? And there's millions of people here that are special, that want to get in, that want to get up to the front. So we're just not going to get in. I started basically losing hope. And then I told Rachel, I'm checked out right now. I'm so frustrated. Can you please pray to Saint Carlo and figure out and get us a taxi? So she prayed to Saint Carlo, and then we kept going. Like we walked maybe like 5 or 10 more minutes, and by that time it was like about 6:25. And then a taxi came in, almost sort of out of nowhere. We got in the taxi, and we got to the gate like at about 6:35. So it took us 4 minutes to get in taxi to where we were going. Had we walked, it would have taken us another hour. There were so many people. It was so chaotic that it felt absolutely impossible to get to the gate. That was probably the biggest thing. When we got to the gate and we saw a group of people waiting there and we saw Gwen, I thought, okay, I don't know. I don't really know if I understand who this Carlo guy is, but he has just convinced me that he could do anything. Like to me, getting to that gate felt like the most impossible thing. Us getting there through his intercession, I thought, okay, I'm sold. I'm like, this guy's like my new favorite saint because it felt so impossible. It was like a miracle to get there.
Mhm.
But not only did we get there, it was just amazing because we knew other people in the group, like Mother Adela, this religious community from Florida was there. There was a bunch of other people that we knew there. So it was almost like we were welcomed by all these friends of ours. So we got there and they gave us this. I wish I had it here, but I don't. They gave us this bandana. They gave us this pass. It's that Saint Carlo pass. It literally felt like we were like the prodigal child that was being welcomed with like a ring and a robe and sandals. It was the most amazing experience. And then when we went in, we went through the back of the Vatican where there was no one there. So we literally got like this exclusive access. Half the group that was like really close to Father Antonio, actually went up, and their seats were right on the altar, right behind where Carlo Acutis' mother was. Um, Trying to think, the guy that plays Jesus on The Chosen, I'm forgetting his name right now.
Jonathan Rumi, is it?
He was sitting there. So we were part of this like really amazing group. Gwen went up there. The rest of us went up to kind of the front section there. So the seats we had, they weren't as good as being up on the altar, but they were still really amazing. So that was kind of one of the first thing that St. Carlo did for us. He got us there on time. We got in. Our seats were absolutely incredible. But then at the end of the mass, Pope Leo processes in front of all of the groups. Now we were one of the front sections, so we thought, well, Pope Leo is going to pass in front of us. There was maybe like 10 or 12 sections in all of St. Peter's Square. He passed through every single section except ours. Ours was the only section that he did not pass by. And it felt like we were cursed. Like lining up, there's like thousands of people in our section. Everyone breathed out this like almost this cry of sadness. And we were like, how could it be that we're right here? We're right at the front, and Pope Leo passed by every section except ours. We thought it was almost like this weird nightmare. I was like, how could we have had all these things happen? St. Carlos got us here, all these crazy things, and then it just was like a complete disappointment. So then after that, the crowd started dispersing, and my wife and I went to go have lunch at this restaurant down on the main street, kind of down from the Vatican. And we were really sort of confused because we thought that was so weird. That felt so wrong. There's something weird about it that just it was hard to describe. So, but we were thinking, no, wait a minute. We got to be where we were. We got to be at the mass. We're in Rome. Why are we sad? But we were just so sad. And then I started getting messaged by a friend of mine from the U.S. that I knew. She lives in Fort Worth. Her name's Elizabeth. And she said, Alvaro, someone told me that you're here in Rome. We should meet up. Well, we had just been with like 100,000 people at a mass. I just wanted some alone time with my wife because we had just missed the Pope. We didn't see him up close. And I thought the last thing I want to do right now is talk to someone that I haven't talked to in like maybe a couple years. I just want to be alone with my wife. So I kept ignoring her messages. And she was sending me like, oh, by the way, are you going to go to the Purgatory Museum church? They open at 4 p.m. And we were going to go there actually that afternoon. I ignored her messages, but I was glad that she told me what time they opened, because then we walked over to that church. So we got to the church, so the mass was at 10 a.m. It ended at noon. We went to lunch. We had lunch till like about 1:30 or 2. And then we were just walking around, and we walked over to the church. We got there like around 3. We thought it was going to open at 3, but it didn't open until 4. So we were just sitting there in front of the church. And in that church, there's a purgatory museum where there's like 10 different kind of sort of purgatory relics.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at 4 p.m. when it opens, my friend shows up in a taxi. We didn't know she was going to be there. She gets out of the taxi, and I was a little bit embarrassed because I had been ignoring her and ignoring her messages. She sent me like 5 to 10 messages. And if you know me, I'm kind of an introvert, so I tend to do stuff like that. And I was like, Elizabeth, how are you? We're so glad to see you. Kind of like a little bit sort of, oh gosh, I feel really dumb right now. But then we were, being very friendly. So we were talking, we walked into the church. And when we were in the church, we were going to finish our novena that we had been making to Saint Carlo. And we had different intentions, but the intentions for that day were a little bit different. So the intentions that day were, we finished a prayer and we said, Saint Carlo, we're very sad that we didn't get to see the Pope up close, but we do not want to be envious or jealous. We offer you this sacrifice. Would you please let us meet your mother instead? That was our prayer. And when we prayed that, it was really weird. It felt like, why are we asking this? This seems so silly. Why would, I don't know. It just seemed like one of those just foolish prayers that you think, you know what, I'll make it. I'll pray for $1 million. Why not? Today's a good day to ask God for something silly. Well, we finished the prayer, and then Elizabeth was telling us, hey, we should go back to talk to my hotel. For some reason, I didn't want to go back to her hotel. I wanted to just go off and have dinner with my wife. And I was kind of like, I don't know. And then she said, I have a first-class relic of Saint Carlo. And I thought, okay, we'll go. We'll go to pray with the relic. Somehow she knew one of Carlo's aunt from some time ago, and was able to obtain a first-class relic for her church that she had to come to Rome to pick up to take back with her. So I was like, okay, this is pretty awesome. Let's go do that. That would be great. So we got in a taxi, which took forever to get. And then we went back to her hotel, and her hotel was very close to the Vatican. It was called like the Hotel of St. Michael the Archangel, or something like that. And as we were walking up to the hotel, there was this family standing outside the mom was telling this young child, you should be very thankful you got to talk to his mom and dad. This is a very great blessing. And I thought, talk to his mom and dad? Whose mom and dad? I wonder what they're talking about. Well, they walk in, and we look to our right, and it was like, at that point, I felt like I was like in a dream. and sitting on the couch was Saint Carlo's mom, just sitting there. His dad, it's funny, people kind of ignore his dad. His dad was right there too. And we were like, it was the weirdest feeling on earth. I thought within an hour of having finished the prayer, she's right there. And I was thinking, like, can we go talk to her? Will they shoot us? Will they arrest us? Like, is this legal? Because it's like if you see the president or something, you don't just go up and talk to them because they're protected special people. And and someone went up and was talking with her, and I thought, okay, I guess it must be okay. So we went up and we just got in line, and I thought, oh gosh, this feels so good because I like respecting people's privacy, and I know that they're tired and they don't want to be bothered. I did not want to bother his mom like 3 hours after the canonization. Um, but we went up to her anyway, and then we just sat down with her, and it was, I mean, it was just amazing. It was just like the prodigal son because I had imagined meeting her and I had all these things I was going to talk to her about. I didn't say any of them. I was like, hi. I don't even think I said my name. I don't even remember what I said. So I think I started speaking in Spanish because I thought that might be easier. And then she kind of took over the conversation and was like, oh, you must be from Mexico. And she started talking about like, oh, Mexico has Our Lady of Guadalupe. Mexico has all these beautiful saints. You should become a saint like all of those people. So she was just holding the conversation because she could tell that we didn't really even know what to say. So she was she was incredibly easygoing, super casual, not arrogant, not prideful, nothing. She was the easiest woman to talk to ever. Like she talked for you. So she just acted like she had just known you forever. It was really, it was almost like I forget, like disarming how comfortable we felt with her. And then she asked, she gave us one of, she passes out these relics. She has like a stack of them. So this is what they look like. Put it
Right.
like in a little protector because
Mm.
this is going to be like a family heirloom. So it's from the burial cloth that covered him,
Yep.
and she has like a thick stack of them, and she just gives them out like we didn't even ask for it. I didn't know that she had it, and then she asked how many children do you have, so she gave us more. And then later we just said goodbye, and we kissed on the cheek, kind of like the Italian way of saying goodbye. But it was amazing. So the first miracle was that we made it to that entrance at 6:30, and we got in with our group. They ended up going in at 7, so God gave us 30 extra minutes from the time we were supposed to meet them. And then the second miracle was that we got to meet his mother on the canonization day. And I thought, I don't know if I've ever met a saint that is so powerful that the day you pray is the day you get an answer. Usually it's like you have to wait a few days or you wait a month or something. Um, I was so impressed with how much he could do, but that wasn't the only thing that happened. Another thing that happened was so that was that day, and the rest of the day, my wife and I were like, our heads were spinning. We were like, we cannot believe that just happened. We didn't even know what to do with ourselves. It was we were just like, I can't believe this. Like it was, I completely forgot about meeting the Pope. In fact, I thought like I don't ever have to meet the Pope. That was better than meeting 10 popes. So I don't ever have to meet Pope Leo or whoever is the next Pope. I could die in a happy man. Um, but when we were driving to Assisi, they first of all there was a canonization. There was a Thanksgiving Mass in Assisi that the Diocese of Assisi was holding in the church where his tomb is. Only maybe like 1,000 people could go. I mean, it's a very small church. It's not a big church. Well, we got to go to that.
Mhm.
No one, most people didn't even know about it. So she told us, she's like, you need to go to this mass. Get there early to get a seat. She actually didn't get it inside because she got there late. So we sat in the church. His mom was there, the Bishop of Assisi, who really pushed for his canonization. He's the reason why he was canonized so quickly. But not only that, there was a dinner for all the English speaking people who had been promoting his cause. And on the drive there, Gwen said, "Hey, two people just canceled for the dinner. Do you want to come?" And so we get invited to this free dinner where the people that are there are like very wealthy promoters of the Carlo cause. They've like given tons. They're very rich people or bishops or stuff like that, or priests who have like pushed for his cause. There's this woman from Australia who had been promoting his cause in Australia. Like people that you like, they were like Carlo royalty, and we were literally like it's like when Jesus says, you know, they don't accept the invitation to the wedding and they go get the beggars from the highways. We were those people. We were like the beggars are like, here, come on in. There's some extra seats. Um, and we got to be at that, and it was just, I mean, that was super weird. We were there with Father Antonio and Gwen and this bishop from, I think from Alabama, this guy from New York. These people. It was just incredible. So I mean, it was a yes. So all of that convinced me. Okay, if you want incredible miracles in your life, or if you want like a powerhouse of a saint, you have to invoke Carlo Acutis. So, um, connecting that to the question you had asked about with Christine Watkins. So she got all her information from the book that his mom wrote.
Hmm.
Uh, That was the only thing that I knew to say. I did tell her, thank you for the book that you wrote, because I started reading that maybe like a week before we went to Rome. And that book has a lot of information that other books don't talk about. They just say he was holy, he loved the Eucharist. They kind of make him seem very normal, and he was not normal. Like his grandfather, for instance, appeared to him from purgatory when he was 4. He had numerous mystical experiences of purgatory, maybe even heaven and hell. He had Saint Jacinta from Fatima appear to him. I mean, he would stay up till 3 in the morning working on his research websites for all this. I mean, this kid was like, he was he
Yeah.
was a mystic for sure, and he was incredible, doing and saying incredible things. She puts lots of his writings in the book, so she'll like talk about different things about him and then quote like a page or two from his writings, and it's stuff that you're like, I don't even understand what he's saying. It's like really profound stuff.
Wow.
So really, I've been almost like shocked with how holy and powerful he is.
Yeah, and I think as I was going to think and ask you, I think you've already answered it though. Obviously, you were stunned when you saw the family and his mother there when you spoke to her. I mean, I'd be like, can you kind of correct what the truth is? Did St. Francis appear to you and say this? Or was it this or that? Or what can you tell us about this? But obviously, what was meant to be, and what a grace. Do you not think when how it all worked out, it was that prayer of offering up where you were at? That was the example he set to offer things up, and you did. And it's as if you became his special guest at
Yeah.
Assisi. And do you not notice how well his mother is working with him and how well he is working with his mother? And how that's what I'm hearing from your story. It's like a tag team, one from heaven and one on earth. And he'll still honour his mother. And she's saying, get there. And you did. And he's taking care of the impossible. There's just something in that I'm sensing from your story. And I have to plead ignorance for not reading into him prior. I should have been at his canonization back at Easter, the week after. I was over there in Rome for my own birthday, and we've decided to make a good week of it because my birthday fell on Holy Thursday. We did meet up with a group from Australia as planned, and through that group we had access to the Trefontani visionary Bruno, his family, and we went to Genzano, Our Lady of Good Counsel. So it was a grace-filled time, but we would have been there at the canonization only for Pope Francis dying, and that took the precedence. So we never rescheduled to go back out or anything like that, but we might have seen you there. You might not have seen the Pope either, but your fellow American and brother in Christ, Dr. Peter Howard, did as he was going around the Pope Mobile, and he was shouting out. I don't know if you know Dr. Peter. He's got their own channel as well, the Fulton Sheen Institute, but he was
Hmm.
shouting, "You have to canonize Fulton Sheen, Holy Father, canonize Fulton Sheen," and he looked at him and he went, So I'm seeing his Facebook with that first, and then
Yeah,
later that night or the next day, I see you with Carlo Acutis at Saint Carlo's mother, and I'm like,
yeah,
these two guys who I know from being on my channel and I've been on their channels. Why am I not in Rome with them right now? You never know how it could have worked out. But
yeah,
did you sense, maybe not to make it sound too negative, there was obviously I saw some banners because I watched it live, and I don't know about you, but even from the TV side of things, the pride of being Catholic and seeing this historic day. I mean, I lived in Rome for 4 years at seminary. I've been to some canonizations, many papal audiences, but even watching it at home, you just get moments of tears apart. It's pure passion and love of church that the tears come sometimes. You just have to keep wiping them a little bit and keep watching. Did you sense things like that there? And what was the what? I don't want to feel like poor Pier Giorgio Frassati was eclipsed, but in a way, the narrative,
yeah.
Saint Carlo seems to be the one, and but there's amazing
Yeah, my
stories about the other Saint Pier Giorgio Frassati as well, isn't there?
yeah, so, it's funny because so I have kids that go to a high school that's named Frassati High School, and they would say the same thing. They would say, "You guys just talk about Saint Carlo Acutis, but Saint Pierre Giorgio was canonized too." I just I don't I just don't connect with him. And I think probably why that is because if I probably met him in life, I probably wouldn't have connected with him either. Like I would have thought, okay, this is a great guy, but we just maybe don't have a lot in common. But when I read about Saint Carlo Acutis, y- he was kind of like, for instance, like with his computer, he was like a little bit nerdy, and I think I can relate to that. And he would do that, like different things that he would do. I would think like I could totally relate to it.
Mm,
But you could see in the people, it seemed like I don't know what it is for other canonizations, but you could see how people were they wanted to be there for Saint Carlo Acutis, like it was very intentional, like the clothes that they would wear, or you could tell that they were like, we want to be here, we want to see Saint Carlo, we know who he is, we are excited to see him canonized, and it wasn't just, oh, this is a cool event. That was my impression, that people were very proud for him, but from all over, and that was interesting, because I think people were he's connected with people in a way that's really incredible, and everyone it seemed it's like you could just tell by looking at them that like everyone was there for different reasons, but for the same person, and they all felt like they had a personal relationship. You could just tell that people were like, yeah, Carlo, he's like my cousin, and Carlo, he's my friend, and Carlo, he's like my uncle, and like it was without even asking people, you could tell that they were there because they felt like they had a relationship with him, and that's why that's what we felt. It was really, and even more so afterwards.
yeah, amazing. I've got a sense though with you and I connecting through Derry, and I don't know about you. I'm sure your head was full of amazing stories. My head was saturated in February with the amount of passion, zeal, stories, prophecy talk with all the great folks of Derry. But that light of the north, Clare, which means light, servant of God, Clare Crockett. I've got something just tells me sometimes in the back of my head or a little sense she's going to be coming quick along as well, and she, like Carlo, they're going to do something phenomenal with the new generation of saints through the youth. I really sense there's something there with that build up as well. And that's our connection, isn't it? Where we first met was Derry. And obviously, you've been to that grave as well of Sister Clare. Do you pray to her much? Do you think that maybe there might be something in it again with the youth, with her?
I really I really hope so. I think because I learned when I was there how much the bishop there really pushed through obstacles. I mean, they were making it seem that he did not have it easy, but he wanted to have him canonized. Otherwise, it would have taken another 20 years. And then he would have sort of felt kind of irrelevant now because there would have been other things going on in the world. Whereas now it's like he's kind of within our generation to where we really kind of we understand his language. We understand the world that he was a part of. And so I'm really hoping that he can kind of pave a way for her because she has that same thing. There's something about her that you feel like she's just right there.
Yeah.
And so hopefully people will see that. One of the things that Gwen wants to do, since she has Irish parents, she was actually born in Scotland from Irish parents, but grew up in London. So she's kind of connected to like all of the UK, but
Yeah.
she really wants to bring all of the UK, but in a particular way, the people of Ireland to Assisi, because she says lots of Americans come here, but I want the Irish to come and see, because he has such a beautiful spirituality, especially with the Eucharist. So hopefully that'll be it'll start like that, and then he'll go back there, and then he'll work in the hearts of people, and then Claire, she'll become blessed and then saint, hopefully in the near future.
Yeah, and you can really see the momentum of the support and the push, because I know it's a lot of tape to get through with the journey to sainthood with the Vatican and things. But it's the servants of God, the blesseds, that need that extra praying and intercession request, because then they get the miracle that then helps their cause. So we have to keep praying to them as well, even more so
Yeah,
perhaps. But it sounds as if Carlo's just getting started, Saint Carlo. I have to get used to calling him
yeah,
Saint, of course. And go back
yeah.
to you just meant, yeah, please go.
Yeah, I think there's so much work for him to do. That the book I read is called My Son Carlo, and it's written by his mother. It's really really good and informative, and it talks about that vision that she had of Saint Francis of Assisi. So
Right.
so I'll let you read the book. So she refers to it, and I think people need to learn. There's so much that we still need to read about his life to understand him. Like we've there's been a lot of material put out there, but it's still only the surface. Even though there's been like a few documentaries that have been great, but those are only a little bit of about who he is. So I'm hoping people can get to know him more and experience him more, and receive experiences of him praying for them, his intercession, and then obviously imitating him, and the life of holiness that he showed us.
Yeah, and you just said something with the Eucharist which made me think back to when you were saying how you could relate to him more. Um, when I heard his love for the Eucharist and things like that, and how he would spend so long before the Eucharist, there was a famous saying that when you're before the sun, you get a tan, but before the Eucharist, you become a saint or something like that, like,
Yeah,
or you get Jesus. So little things like, but I can relate to that because that's part of my personal journey, was long time spent in adoration. And not that I'm saying that I'm a saint or anything, but as soon as you hear a young boy or an older man, anyone,
yeah,
speaking about the love that gains and the prayer evolves with the silent adoration, I can relate to it very much. But my wife usually nags at me because I've never smoked. Maybe at the odd wedding you would have a cigar or something. But I've tried a pipe a few times, and there's something about a smoking pipe that really gets you philosophizing about life and the world, and there's something comfortable and soothing. Then I was reading through the points of Pier Giorgio Frassati and how he liked the pipe, and I saw a picture, he has a smoking pipe, so I
yeah,
showed that to my wife with my big Gandalf.
yeah. I
So
like
I
that.
kicked
That's
it
nice.
to both of them in a little way, one with the Eucharist, one with the pipe, and the
Yeah,
hill walking and things. So yeah, it's something I haven't done in a while, and I can remember it from my earliest years as a young boy. My dad used to have this little square pocket book. It was very small, but it was all about different saints, and then the one page you'd have three, four paragraphs fitted in about that saint to the point. feast day at the bottom, and then on the other page it was like an old medieval painting of them. And I can always remember reading the lives of the saints um, from a very young age with those little books. And you know something, sometimes I see the God incidences of how the next blessed or the saint comes about, and yet within a week or so you've seen three or four coincidences of how they've came to your attention through a book.
Mhm.
Then another place it's a picture, maybe someone speaks about them, and then another time something pops up online, and you're like, right, that's the saint I should probably pray to now.
Yeah.
So they're there looking to help us, that communion of saints in heaven. And now I'm hearing about Carlo especially, and after just meeting you earlier this year, the special graces you've had. Yeah, I want to read more into him. I'm going to look at that book from his mother's own words, and with her being alive and still writing that, I can only imagine it must be an amazing read. But we should remember the saints. We should be looking at them as heroes and helping us with their example. I mean, does any other stand out to you? You have a
Yeah,
special devotion?
I do. I mean, recently I've been focusing a lot on him, but I at one point had like a great love and felt closer to different saints like Saint Maximilian Kolbe. He started the Militia of the Immaculata, from the Bible, Saint Martha, different saints that I met along the way that, we can do things on our own, we can accomplish things on our own, but it's so much easier with their help.
Yeah.
And then it's this joy of that you did it with this other person, so that you didn't do it alone. There's this other person that was involved in that, so it just makes it richer. And when you get that experience, you think we could do it alone, but why would we want to?
Mhm.
When it's meant to be kind of like a party, like a festival, kind of like a parade towards heaven, with lots of people with different gifts that are all assisting each other. And then we share those experiences with other people, and then they go on to help others. And I think that's what the Lord wants. He doesn't want us to walk this alone. He wants us to gain this assistance, all the work that they've done to kind of bear fruit in our lives as well.
Yeah, I love talking about it even now, but I would say it's safe to say that after how it all worked out providentially through Saint Carlo's help, meeting his mother, and everything else that's happened since, with the book reading and your own videos, how he helped you in Rome, then to Assisi, that's made a bond. I would say there's a bond there now with you praying to him. I think you've got a good saint looking after you now in heaven.
Ye-
And after meeting his
Yeah,
mother as well, there's a bond there.
yeah. I feel incredibly blessed. And sometimes that's how things are. Maybe like with any friendship that people make, it, you don't even know that it's there, so you can't look for it. It just sort of God sends it your way, and then I'm incredibly thankful because I wasn't necessarily looking for that friendship. I might have been wanting it, but I wasn't thinking, oh, I really want a friendship with Saint Carlo Acutis. It's just been a gift that God has given me, and I hope that He'll give it to other people, because it's been really, really a huge blessing.
Yeah. Well, I know you've got your lovely wife waiting for you to have a special night, and my wife's there also. And I think when we're doing our prayers tonight, we'll be having a little special intention prayer to St. Carlo, thanks to
Yeah.
your stories and inspiration. Uh, I'm happy to finish here. I know you've got things to do, but I would just like to say if you want to finish off with a prayer and a final word.
Yeah. Yeah. How about I'll put up the relic, and we'll do a prayer to Saint Carlo.
Perfect.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Saint Carlo, I ask that as you granted me so many graces in Rome, so many that, of course, I was not deserving of at all, I ask that you grant so many graces of conversion, and deeper conversion of all those listening, of healing to those that are listening, spiritual, physical, emotional, mental, as well as graces for people to overcome difficult situations that they're in their work or in their family, and graces of growth and holiness. If people are experiencing blocks or stagnation, that they may grow and receive gifts in the spiritual life, that they may become saints. Please obtain these for each and every listener and for ourselves. Through your intercession, I know you go through the Blessed Mother to Jesus. Please pray for us this day and all the day of our lives. We ask this through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alvaro. And if everyone wants to see more of Alvaro on his own channel with these types of stories and many other wonderful videos, do check him out at Uniquely Mary. The link will be in the description box below. And please, as always, give us the thumbs up, like and subscribe. As I say, that helps cast the nets over the YouTube algorithm to bring more souls into the truth of the Lord. And until next time, as always, take care and God bless you.